Hello gamers and welcome to Mythic Sprocketmonger Lock and Stock. I'm going to be giving you a deep dive onto the first part of this encounter, hopefully give you some rules of thumb we can follow, hopefully give you a bit of a better understanding of why we're doing things a certain way to help our progression. Please watch a general guide video before you watch this video. I will not be discussing the general, like how the mechanics work in this video. I will be discussing much more specific positioning stuff, rules of thumb to follow, how we're going to resolve certain overlaps, and that kind of stuff. So if you don't know what the mechanics are for the mythic changes, for instance, do not watch this video yet. Go watch a different posted guide. Okay, first thing that happens here is that half the raid's going to get marked red and half the raid's going to get marked blue. It's a lot like Silken Court. What is different about this mechanic from Silken Court is that your color is going to change at specific times during the fight. You're not guaranteed to change, you have a chance to change. What that means for everybody is that unlike Silken Court, where you only had to learn one half of the dance, like if you're a blue player, you only had to know where the blue players go and where it's safe to be blue at any given time during the fight. Unlike that, on this encounter, it's very important that everybody in the raid knows where the red players are positioned and where the blue players are positioned at every time during the encounter. You might have 10 pulls in a row where you're going to be red every time, and you might get really safe and confident in knowing those positions, and then you might get blue, and you might not know where to go. So we need to avoid that eventuality. So the rule of thumb I want to apply first is that wherever the boss is positioned, on the right side of the room, as we look from the entrance, which is on the left side of my screen, to the exit on the right side of my screen, the right side of that of the boss's position is red side. Okay, and if the boss is over here on this line between diamond and triangle, then the red side is that whole part of the room. Blue side is the left side. So if the boss is at diamond, for instance, the blue players are all going to play here, and red side has a much bigger area to work with. That's just like the rule of thumb we want to apply. And like Silken Court, there are going to be times where, for mechanical reasons, blue players are obligated to play on red side and vice versa. And we'll explain what those are next. So red players, you can see here, getting on the right side of the boss. Blue players getting on the left side of the boss. Here comes our first mines. As you can see here, this is a blue mine here, red mine here, blue mine here, red mine here. This one's easy. It's a square around the boss. Other sets are going to be much harder when we are in the what we called crisscross positions with wire transfer, or when we are on one long skinny line of the rectangle. We're going to get 4 mines every time. So it's much like Heroic, except this time it's a lot like Silken Court, where you can see this blue player is coming over onto red side, and that's because they have to soak this blue mine. Similarly, we have a red player on blue side soaking this mine. And like I said, this set's pretty easy. Red players are just going to be in one big pile on the right side of the boss. Blue players are going to be in one big blue pile on the left side of the boss. And then we have 2 players assigned to go, this blue player and this red player, to the other side. So obviously it's very important that the blue players are conscious that this red player is coming through. Similarly, it's important that red players are conscious that this blue player is coming through to soak these mines. It's very important that we soak the mines very quickly. You can see basically the first player assigned is just going to basically stand on the mine as it spawns and proc it immediately. Like I said, this set is pretty easy. There are no mines right next to the boss. It's all 4 mines are close to the boss. No one's got to run to Narnia to soak. But you can imagine, and there will be examples later in the encounter where, say for instance, if the boss were at triangle, which is a position that we will have to have eventually, a mine might spawn in this exact position. In that situation, it's going to be very close to all the players in the raid. And so every time the mines spawn, you must check your feet to make sure that you are not standing on a mine. And some of them, as would happen if the boss were over here at triangle, are going to be pretty tough. It doesn't help that the mine swirls look exactly like the swirls that are around your character at any given time. So please do take extra care to watch your feet for the mines. Next mechanic we're going to get is drills. This first set is pretty free. Some of the other drill sets are going to have positioning and techniques that are going to be a lot more specific and important. This set, it doesn't really matter what we do with them because this whole section is going to be wire transferred soon. But the ideal positioning for these drills is that red players will bait top right of the room, which is bottom right of my screen, and drop one drill here, two drills here, third drill here. You'll always get three drills, so it's 1, 2, 3, and then they will never have to be on the blue side of the boss to resolve the mechanic. So 1, 2, 3, and you just run back into the stack. Similarly, blue players will just start up here and go 1 drill, 2 drill, 3 drills, back to the stack. Other drill sets will be much more important. This one, they kind of freestyle it. So don't take huge inspiration from this one. You can see they don't even really care where they're putting it. After the drills and mines are resolved, boss moves towards mid on this line with these horizontal treadmills. And this is where we get our first small beam set. After the small beam set goes off, we move the boss towards front left of the room. Again, this is like the left side here is like entrance side. And you can see we're getting our next set of mines. This one is another square just around the boss. Nothing super crazy. Again, red mine here, blue mine here, and then you'll just have to take my word for it that there are a couple below. Resolved in the exact same way, just following your add-ons. Pop in the mine. Okay, now it's drills. So this is the first drill set where we want to cultivate a good habit. And let me try to, there we go. So I just wanted the orientation back towards the same place we were before. But basically for the first drill set, I'm sorry, this is second drill set, but for most of the drill sets that are in this type of position, it's going to be really similar. So the first thing I want you to notice is the direction that this conveyor belt is traveling. It's traveling from the right side of my screen to the left side of my screen. At this point during the encounter, it will always be traveling that way because this encounter is a dance. Everything happens the same way every time. At different points in the encounter, the conveyor belt might not be moving at all, and it might be moving in a different direction. So that's important to keep in mind. And the rule of thumb that I want to apply here is that for blue players, the first drill that you want to drop is going to be right in line with the boss on the conveyor belt behind it. Okay, so you just take one step backwards, you bait your first drill here. The conveyor belt then pushes you from right to left, and you drop your second drill right here. Once the second drill spawns, you take one step forward and drop your third drill right here in this L shape. For this specific drill set, this raid team does not do that. And it's because they know that this one, it's not required that you do that position. In future, later points of the fight, it is required that you do that because the void beams are quite a bit larger than the smaller beams. So for the purposes of cultivating a good habit, I want us to practice and from the very start, always do this 1 drill here, 2 drill here, 3 drill here, back to the stack position. Okay? As you can see here, they just ride the conveyor belt and drop their third drill there. But if this were later in the encounter, and they've dropped their third drill here, and their characters are ending up over here, the void beams are already going to be out, and you would be dead here, basically. There's not enough time for you to get back into the stack before the void beams kill you. In this situation with the smaller beams and the timing of it, it's not that way, which is why they kind of give themselves the lenience to do the mechanic the easier way, but I want us to do things the right way at the start just to practice. Okay. Next is beams and rockets. You just resolve this how the guides suggest. Nothing crazy. We're going to get our second polarization here. In this case, this player is going to switch polarity. So you can see they're blue now, but they're on the red side. Why aren't they killing the red players? Well, the reason is because there's a grace period to swapping over. It's a lot like Mythic Razageth Intermission 2. So you have time before this kind of kicks in until this circle is gone. And as you can see, this player is just going to run straight through the boss, switch sides, no problem. Our third set of mines are spawning, and because we've wire transferred, it's not an easy one. There is not a tight square around the boss for these mines. We get 2 mines close to the boss in this situation, but as you can see from the raid plan here, we have 2 mines that are far. This is one of our crisscross positions. In this situation, 2 range players are going to have cheated over here so that they are over here before the mines spawn. If you wait until the mines spawn and then go to soak it, you will not be able to soak fast enough and we will die. So we'll always call it in comms that range players that are indicated by the add-on are going to be over there soaking far. We're going to get one red and one blue player over here. And so one of the rules of thumb that I want to apply is that the red player has the right of way. I also want to set the standard that you will try to stay on your side of the room, your side of the boss, for as long as possible, basically. So what I mean by that is that the blue player who's going to soak, let's say they're soaking at circle. I don't know which one it is, but say they're soaking at circle. Say this is the blue mine. This blue player is not going to go across to red side first and then towards the mine. They're going to stay on blue side as long as possible. In this case, because it's a crisscross position, it's going to be till this position here. Then they are going to cross over only as late in the movement as possible. Similarly, the red player will stay on the red side of the boss for as long as they can. Okay, so like blue player will be over here while the red player is over here. That gives them enough room. And then they will cross over only when they have to. So stay on the red side of the room as long as possible. I would like the red player to stay in this way, basically. That way there is the least chance that the blue player and the red player have to cross over or hit each other. If this mine is the red one, that's kind of easy because the red player can just stay here and move in this path. And then the blue player can stay here and move in this path. If they have to cross over, it's a little harder. So like say if the blue player has to move in this way and the red player has to move in this way, you can see their paths will intersect. If that happens, the red player gets right of way. The blue player has to wait, regardless of who is soaking first. I want the red player to have right of way, and that's going to be the standard that we start with. Okay, we might change it later, but that's how we'll start with. So in the situation where we are crisscrossed and the mines are spawning far, range are going to bait. Other situations, it's going to be split down the center where this whole section of the room from skull, square, triangle, circle is all electrified, and we have star, diamond, moon, and X as our mines. Same rules apply there in that situation. The range players are going to be assigned. They're going to cheat and move early so that they can be in position to soak as soon as the mines spawn. Red player getting right of way. Okay. All right, we're going to get some more drills here. Let's see. So again, I want the resolution of this drill set. You can see that the conveyor belt here is moving from left to right. And what do we want to do? We want to make a tight L with the drill. So you want to bait the first drill here, second drill here, third drill here, and get back into your stack. The red side drills, you can see that the conveyor belt is moving from the left side of my screen to the right side of my screen. I'll back it up. Right side of my screen to the left side of my screen. In that situation, you want to bait 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, back in the stack. Now we get another set of beams plus rockets, but this time we're getting pulled. So you can see everybody is taking a personal. This is a really dangerous moment, and just fighting the pull. Rockets are kind of whatever. You take a step closer towards the boss if you're hurt, etc. Then we're going to get a wire transfer. I believe this is the other crisscross position. Ooh, no, I'm sorry, that's not correct. So here we're almost ready to phase. So we're going to get our third color swap before we phase. So this is important. And then we're going to phase. So the way we handle the knockback here is very, very specific. It's going to be sort of a standard way we do this because there's two times we do this in the fight. For this one, the red players are going to take the gateway after they get knocked, and the blue players are going to get knocked. We are going to switch colors here just before we phase. So just because you are blue now does not mean you're getting knocked, because you might be about to get swapped to red. So don't fixate on that. So we play loose here until we get our colors. That was the tank running out, so don't take too much. Don't use that as your example for how to do this. So this player has the same, so they have not swapped, but now you know your color for how you're going to resolve the intermission. So this player here from our POV knows that they're getting knocked on the far side. Red players know that they are gating. And basically, we want the gate to be towards the entrance, which is the right side of my screen, towards the entrance from the boss, because the red players are going to get knocked away, and you have to wait until you are knocked before you take the gate or you're dead. So they're taking this gateway right here, not this gateway. So the red players are going to get knocked in this direction, away from the boss, towards that gateway. As soon as they get knocked, they're going to hit their control shard, take the gate. Blue players are going to play on this side of the boss here and get knocked instead of taking the gateway. So this player is going to position himself so that he can get knocked safely. And you can see he wants to get knocked towards like the far back right side of the room. Like this is the entrance here down bottom of my screen. This is the exit. So he wants to try to get knocked back right. And you can see red players are going to get knocked right here. Now for this part of the intermission, the positions, let's see here we go. The positions that are safe for players are on the conveyor belts, blue players on the far side of the boss, on the conveyor belt, on either the middle conveyor belt or the side conveyor belt, but on the far side of the boss. So this line here that we draw horizontally from the boss is blue's territory. Red team is going to play always on the outside conveyor belt, on the left side towards the entrance door from the boss. And this is the position every single time that we have to manage. You can see he gets knocked here. He takes one tick of the electrified, which is fine. And then he's on this section, which corresponds to this section, which is blue, of the room. You could also play here if that is safer, if you get knocked there. And then, of course, red team playing on red side towards the entrance door on the left side of my screen relative to the boss's position. So no blue player will go over here, and no red player will go over here. You fight the conveyor belt that's pushing you from right to left on my screen. You dodge these guys that put you to sleep or whatever. Not a whole lot of damage going out. Pretty free. Yeah, and that is basically phase one. So that's what we're going to start with. Ping me in Discord if you have questions.